What do you think about living to 120? Since choosing to live to 120, I've actively spoken about that choice whenever I've had the opportunity, in private or in public. Most people have been fascinated. 60-somethings in particular sit back, relaxed, only to lean forward in their seats and listen carefully when I've talked about this. However, I soon learned that not everyone welcomes my idea. Some have even been antagonistic to my idea of choosing to live to 120. Such people have reacted in one of these three ways. Is that really possible? It's still nothing but a dream. Oh my God, for me, that would be hell. Just because you made up your mind doesn't mean you're gonna live that long, does it? We should just enjoy the years of life given to us before we die. What about you? What is the first thought or feeling that comes to mind when you hear talk of living to 120? Do you feel expectation or a sense of burden? The person with the longest documented lifespan was a 122-year-old French woman, Jeanne Calment, who lived from 1875 to 1997. Quite often we hear of people who claim to have lived even longer, although their births cannot be verified. It is said that most animals existing on Earth can live up to 6 times their growth period. Based on this theory, many scholars believe that the human lifespan, which includes a growth period of 20 years, can be increased to 120 years. Many Eastern traditions of mind-body training suggest that humans can live in good health up to the age of 120 if they take good care of themselves in accordance with natural principles. A research team at Albert Einstein College of Medicine in New York City recently announced that the limit to the human lifespan is 115 years, although many scientists objected to this announcement, arguing that humans can actually live longer than that. According to 2015 United Nations data, the global population of people over the age of 100 is about 500,000. That's a 4-fold increase from 20 years ago, and it is predicted that the number will increase even more rapidly in the future. According to one survey, 72,000 Americans were over the age of 100 in 2014. Not long ago, the global technology company Google started investing massively in a life extension project. I read one article that said the project's goal is to extend the human lifespan to 500 years. I'm not sure we can live as long as the goal set up by Google, but I think the time of a 120-year life, as the norm, could come much faster than we think. The average human life expectancy was no more than 47 years in 1900, but it has continued to increase as nutrition and hygiene have improved and medical technology has developed, and it is now 79 years. How rapidly is technology developing? Think about our lives 40 years ago. It was unusual then for an individual to own a computer, and we couldn't have imagined the world of today in which everyone carries a smartphone. The development of science and technology, popular awareness of the importance of self-care, and the wider adoption of healthy lifestyles could quickly bring to humanity lives longer than we now imagine. Most South Koreans in their 40s and 50s take it as a given that they should be able to live to the age of 100 if they manage their health well. Insurance products offering coverage up to the age of 110 are now being proactively marketed. Even if you're not that optimistic about human life extension, it's clear that we will live much longer than our parents' generation. If you're now in your 60s or thereabouts, you could have as few as 20 or as many as 60 years left to live. Try multiplying your age by 0.7. Living to be 120? For me, that would be hell. Some who shake their heads at the idea of a 120-year life think old age equals a difficult time of loneliness. Long life brings to mind a picture of sickness, fragility, dependence, and concerns about becoming a burden to someone. Such people may have had a family member or acquaintance who passed away after a bedridden, difficult, painful old age. The old age we encounter through the media is also full of serious problems, further encouraging negative thinking about our later years. Of course, as we grow older, we cannot avoid the physical and mental changes that accompany the phenomenon of aging. There may be times when things we could once do without difficulty, like lifting heavy objects, leaping up stairs, or quickly learning a new name, no longer feel easy. However, bodies and minds in their 50s and 60s are incomparably more youthful and stronger now than when our parents passed through those ages. Additionally, most of us retire in a much better state of health and finances than previous generations did. Choosing to live to 120 doesn't mean merely extending our lives for several decades until immediately before death we have frail bodies and cloudy minds. It means that we pursue something in our old age, actively choosing how we will live, and we make it a time when we can live in health and happiness, feeling that life is fun and rewarding. A new method of calculating age was fashionable for a time in Japan, whose people are among the longest lived in the world. According to this method, you multiply your current age by 0.7. Only then, it's claimed, do you get the age you actually feel, physically and mentally, because these days we live much more youthfully than previous generations did. Calculating age this way, a 50-year-old is 35, a 60-year-old is 42, and a 70-year-old is 49. What about a 120-year-old? 84. Our heads are still influenced by ideas from the time when the average lifespan was 60. Without realizing it, we are programmed to think that our 20s and 30s are the time of our youth, and our 40s and 50s are middle age. Thinking of our 60s and above brings to mind infirm bodies, loss, pain, and dependence. In many countries, 65 is generally the age of retirement, and from then on, a person is commonly classified as a senior. The practice of defining 65 as the beginning of old age is said to have originated in Germany in 1889, when the government paid retirement pensions beginning at the age of 65. We need to remember that the average lifespan at that time wasn't even 50 years. Many gerontologists say that people in their 70s now live similarly to people in their 50s in the 1960s. Rethinking the 120-year life from this perspective will definitely change our preconception that a long old age is a burden.